Two words, if ever I want to get to sleep, I think about internal audit. And the ACCA published this big technical article about it, and I do not want to read that. But luckily, I'm joined by a man who loves audit and is absolutely keen to share this with you. So in this video, we're going to break down this technical article from ACCA. Ben's going to do us a summary of what it involves and what you need to know from it. I'm going to then talk you through how it's been tested and how it could be examined again in the future. Ben's going to give you some key actions you need to do as a result of this article. And at the end, we're going to give our opinions on this article and we'll finish with our rating. So Ben, over to you. Now, I know you love audit, but we're going to keep this really, really brief. Tell us, what does this article tell us and how is it useful for students?
Sure. Well, internal audit. I think of them as being the internal policemen that work at the company to make sure all the rules are being followed, all of the company's systems and controls are doing what they should be doing. And that's what the article starts off by telling us. It then says, well, when would or why would you need internal policemen to check the rules are being followed? And it could be because you're a particularly risky business, or it might be because you're particularly big or important. So you're a listed company, you're heavily regulated. And if there's a lot of public interest in your organization, then it's important that you're being run effectively, that your controls and systems are working. And so it's important to have people who are checking that they're working. That's what internal audit do. It talks a bit about one of my favorite SBL models, the TARA model. Andrew, I'm going to put you on the spot. TARA is all about risk. What do the headings stand for?
Transfer, accept, reduce, or avoid.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
Yeah,
he didn't. I hadn't prepped him for that, and he knew them anyway.
Yeah.
Impressive. It then goes on to talking about reporting. Who do they report to? And it leans into the idea that internal audit are actually inherently flawed. There's a problem. And that problem with internal audit is that they work for the company. And if you work for a company and you find that, oh, there's a big problem here, the systems aren't working, and actually there's been a huge fraud going on, and there's a massive issue within the business, and if I tell anyone about it, this company's going to go under. It's going to go bust. And the flaw for internal audit is that if you do that and you report it because you've done your job brilliantly, what a great job you've done, you're going to lose your job because the company's going to go bust. And you have the joy and the satisfaction when you're sitting at home watching daytime TV of knowing that you did your job really well, and that's why you haven't got a job. That gives you a really big limitation for internal audit because they're not objective. They have this inherent bias. But they can be more objective if they have a clear reporting line to someone who's perhaps not going to try and keep them quiet, someone who's not going to try and control them away from a fraud. They can behave more objectively if they report to the audit committee. And if the audit committee is staffed by independent non-executive directors, that frees up internal audit a little bit to do their job more properly without any interference, let's say, from the executive board. It talks about maybe outsourcing internal audit because, it's a specialist function. So then using someone who really knows what they're doing, who's got experience, rather than employing your own staff might be better to do this. And
so
that
even
often
though
happens.
It's internal, it can be outsourced internal.
Yeah, and that often is the case.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes a variable cost. And you can draw on resource as and when you need it, rather than saying we'll pay this expensive expert to when we don't need them all the time.
True.
It's more and more, I think, the way businesses are running these days anyway. This kind of idea of fractionality that you don't employ someone full time to work for you. You draw on a bit of their time using consultants and things. It finishes off with day to day. What do they actually do? That will really depend on the company and the organization. The answer as to what internal audit do is whatever the company wants them to do. But it will tend to be advise us on improving our controls or see how our systems are operating at all of our different locations. So that'll do as a summary of the article. It's about 1,200 to 1,400 words, this one. It can get a bit long in places, so if you are reading it, you might want to use AI to give you a kind of more concise summary of the article. But yeah, there's loads of useful stuff in it.
How does this get examined? So this topic, not necessarily directly internal audit, but more like controls and control weaknesses, comes up so often. I did my little search. So when we're building our Club SBL courses, we like to make sure we're covering those really examinable topics. And yeah, this is one that we really focus on because it's come up so much. Some nice examples. March, June 2021, so a little while back. There was a question about stakeholders and why they're interested in internal controls and why we should share information with them. So that was quite a nice one. But then we've seen the similar question come up a couple of times back in September, December 21, and also in 2024, more recently, which was to assess the implications of control weaknesses and recommend appropriate controls. So really tapping into that control stuff. So yeah, having this awareness of controls and advising on it, looking at weaknesses, but also how to fix it, going to be really useful for you in the exam.
And actually, sometimes it's not tested directly, but controls weaknesses is part of a sort of wider question. There's a problem at a company, and part of it is that the systems aren't working very well, and part of that is that they haven't got internal audit. So actually quite a nice recommendation is if they haven't got that set up at the minute, internal audit could be a good way of improving their systems.
So do companies not need it? Do they not have to have an internal audit department?
It depends. So if it's a listed organisation, lots of public interest, a public interest entity, they're supposed to have internal audit under the usual corporate governance rules. But if they don't have to have one. It's one of these, particularly in the UK, it's a comply or explain why type rule. So you're supposed to have one, but if you haven't got one, you just need to tell your shareholders why you haven't got one and explain why you don't need one. Most companies will go, oh, we'll just have one. It's easier to have one. And actually they add value. They're useful. So
it could be something that gets tested. So could get examined asking about whether they should have it.
Massively. That is a really, you can see that being an exam question.
Yeah.
So this is an action for you. So let's go into the actions. One thing to be really good for you on your case study, your pre-scene, is to assess if they do have internal audit. If they do, how effective is that internal audit function? So who do they report to? Are they qualified staff? Because internal auditors don't have to be qualified auditors. That's remarkable to me, but anyway, they don't.
Yeah.
So how good are they? Who do they report to? How independent and objective are they? How effective are they? If they've got one already. If they don't have internal audit, and it might just not be mentioned in the pre-scene, then you want to be thinking about should they? Because should they have one, it is a potential exam question. Another action for you, because I think if and when this sort of stuff does come up, the question from June 24, which is the PVS case study, is a really good one. Really worth you doing. It's worth digging out that exam. So it's on the ACCA practice platform from June 24 and having a go at question 3. You don't really need to know loads about the PVS case study to be able to answer that question. But a nice thing that you could do is when your pre-scene comes out is to use your pre-scene about your company, but to answer that question. So you're applying the information from your case study to the question that actually came up in June 24. It's a really good way of practicing your technique. Andrew, on to the rating. What do you reckon?
So this article covers a topic that is so examinable in SBL, which for me is a good thing, isn't it? Like having that article resources. As you nicely summarized, it's covering some really good insight. For me, there are a few bits that were a bit chunky. There are some bits, again, internal audit isn't necessarily top of my reading list a lot of the time. And when I opened the article, it didn't jump out as, oh, this looks exciting. There were massive chunks of text.
Andrew, I'm going to out you here. When I picked this one and said we're going to do internal audit, shall I tell the students what your words were when I said this was the article we're going to be summarising?
What did I say?
It was not good. Put it that way. Good. Oh, thank you, Ben. That's what you said. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to reading about internal audit.
Wonderful choice for an early morning. I can't wait. That was it. That's exactly what I said.
That was it.
Overall, it does cover some interesting things. So I'm erring towards maybe like a 6 out of 10 for me, but I'm not an audit lover like you, Ben. So you might.
I'd go up to 7, but come on, let's meet in the middle. Let's go 6.5. This is a super examinable topic. I spend my life trying to make myself excited about audit. So even I struggle a little bit with internal audit. Internal audit is the audit that external auditors look down on as being the boring one. So if an external auditor thinks your job is boring, then, oh gosh, this is a tough article. So we're going to go, what do we agree on? 6.5?
6.5, yeah, I think that's good. Yeah.
Super examinable. Very, very worth you reading, but can be a bit dry. Oh, if you've got any questions about this article, about internal audit, then stick them in the comments to this video, and Andrew and I will be logging on and answering those questions for you.